Good morning. Good morning. Today is Monday. Oh my goodness, it's already the 27th. 27th of April. We've been quarantined for a while. I tell you, it's been a while. But guess what? Hopefully, you are working some of these things I've been giving you to talk about how you can make some changes for after quarantine, going forward, what's next, how can you get there? Well, I'm going to ask my question. Are you stuck? Yes, we are all stuck. Right now it's quarantine, but we've been stuck on some other things. If you want to be honest, have you been stuck in your finances? Are you stuck on relationships? Are you stuck in your jobs? Are you stuck in your careers? What are you doing? What are you doing? And so it gets to the point where you realize that something else has to change to talk about getting you from a point from being unstuck to freed. And so that's an opportunity forward. That's the excitement of it all. And I see some folks coming in. Good morning, Kathleen. Good morning, Jamie, my niece. Hey, how's Atlanta? Um, this is good. This is a good time. Even though we can't come together face to face, we can certainly do it virtually, and we can certainly say, welcome to Sandy's space. That's what I'm going to call this right now. Just my little area of where I can try to do what has been given to me in terms of my gifts, my abilities. One is my ability to connect with people, and I've been, my background is in counseling and also music, which is, I feel, a wonderful connector. It connects people every year at concerts and at various recitals or whatever. The music will bring people to some kind of feeling. And so, and that's one of the multiple intelligences. That's one of the areas that people can really say that they get something that's just for them. They get that feeling. It maybe makes them want to dance. Does music make you want to dance? Music makes me want to dance. Sometimes music makes me want to cry. It may make me want to, just get emotional, or what I would call in a mood of writing. Like, I write with classical music. That's my music of choice for writing. And other people may have other things that they do in order to get them into their ability of space to do some things. And whatever it is, do it. Do it with music, do it without music, do it with the TV. If you're a person that may like the TV on when you're writing or relaxing, that's fine. But the point is don't let that be the where you stop. Today we want to talk about going into our basements, continuing to do that, continuing to clear the clutter. And I think what I wrote on the little bio, it says, the little intro piece on the for the post, it basically talks about what's on your steps. You have to talk about what are you on, what are you going down to. If you haven't cleared your steps, and there's some stuff on your steps, and so we want to do that. But today I thought I wanted to start off with this poem, and I wrote this poem years ago. And you can really, even though I wrote it originally based on my mother and her plight of losing my dad early I think he was early 50s. And then also for myself, I lost my husband in my 40s, early 40s. So I have to really talk about, strength. Where does this strength come from? And so I wanted to read you my poem, A Woman's Strength. And originally it was a black woman's strength, because my mother's black and I'm black, so that's where it originally came from. But I modified it because I believe that this is for all women. So I wanted to just share this with you this morning as our intro. And it says, a woman's strength, it grows from within, as she is challenged by society to not be buried in the sand. A woman's strength will not falter when she is faced with a loved one's chronic illness or their diagnosis of an incurable disease. A woman's strength will not break even though she works outside the home and then returns to labor with love until dawn. This too is done without help of any other hand. and yet she finds no time to rest her weary head or cool by a fan. A woman's strength ignites when she's left by her man, left to raise his children without support payments, a pot, or a pan. A woman's strength is solidly grounded as she buries her husband, her children, and many of the dreams she had for them, leaving her life empty because the family she knows lays at rest in the lands. So she starts her quest for love all over again. A woman's strength, so powerful, so focused, and so intense. You know, she never starts a day without a plan. What's your plan? What's your plan? You can insert a man in there too, because I know men have lost their wives or their significant others. It can be anybody, because sometimes we have to start all over again. We have to go down into whatever that basement brings us when we lose things, when we lose love, we lose a job, we lose friendships, we lose family ships, we lose things. And when we lose things, we need to talk about how we're going to come back up. How do you do that? How do you do that if you haven't focused on the fact that I understand loss? So where's my strength? Where is my strength? And so on my way down to my basement, I have to get rid of all the clutter that's keeping me from getting to the solidness of me, the core of me, the understanding of me, the right of me, the who I am, the who I am. It's difficult sometimes for us to get back in touch when we've been hurt, when we've been maybe left, maybe crushed by something. And there's so many things that can crush us, so many, to the point that after a while, we don't even realize we've been in a battle, because every day is a battle. It's not just one battle, it's a multiple approach battle where we're hit from all sides. So that's why we have to talk about being girded up. We have to get our strength. And where does our strength come from? Where does it come from? It has to come from within. It can't come from externally. People can help you look at trying to be stronger, but guess what? Your real strength is where you are. Where you are. What do you want to do? How can you go from point A to point B? Changing something that you've always done a certain way. I always had this example of being in groups, and the way the group always used to run was the way people, their mindset was on it. But once things changed, and once it got to the point where other things needed to happen, people were having difficulty with that. They said, no, this is the way this is what it says we should do, and this is how we've always done it. Well, sometimes how you've always done something should not be how you go forward and continue to do it that way. If you make changes that you can deal with, that you can adhere to, that you can make change for, and then look at how good it could be for you, especially after quarantine. If there's things you need to say no to, say no to. If there's things that you should say yes to, do it. Go back to school, get out of, debt. Maybe that's a goal. I think last week, one of those things, and I've been asking the last couple of weeks, what are your goals? What one thing could you do for yourself that just says, I have to make this change. This change is for me, not for my now, but for my later. Not for today, but my tomorrows. Not for my past, but for my future. How do I do that? And if you don't consciously make the effort, then it flees you. It becomes like the days fly by, the weeks fly by, the months run. And then next thing you know, you're into another year and another year and another year, still doing the same things. So I'm hoping that you're taking this time. And I always tell you, I usually give you homework. I don't know if you're doing your homework because it's your homework. It's not for you to give to me. It's really for you to give to yourself. Because if you're being honest, then you're going to assess yourself correctly. You say, yeah, I'm a procrastinator. How many of you are? Many of us are. I know for a long time I used to procrastinate on everything. Now I find out the more busy I am, the more I can get done. But if I leave it up to procrastination, then I never get around to it. And so it's vitally important that you find a way to every day face whatever's coming at you. And it's coming. Trust me, it's going to come. And so, where is your strength? That's one of the things we want to talk about today. The other thing is I have some more questions for you. So I hope you have your pens and paper, and that you're looking at writing down a few things. Every day I try to give you something that really just says that you can do something going forward that you couldn't do in the past. And so I'm certainly hoping that the excitement can be that once you unveil the answers to all these questions, that you really created a new you, because one, you've been honest, and two, you can see that there's some changes you need to make. And so on the second piece of paper after or third or fourth or fifth, or maybe it's in your journal, which you can get them at the dollar store, and the Dollar Tree is still open. And you get those little composition books. They're wonderful. You can write all of your information down in them. And I always show you that I keep one. I keep a big journal, a black journal for serious stuff. This is my black journal. And then for this is my everyday stuff. Even stuff I'm going to say when I'm talking to people that come into my space on this Facebook Live. But anyway, here's today's questions. And this is serious. Who are you? Define yourself. Do it in 1 or 2 sentences. Who are you? And are you just this? Are you just that? Or are you multiple things? Do you see yourself as many things? Not just one thing. Not just the wife. Not just the student. Not just the mother. Who do you see yourself? And I only gave you a short amount of words. Now, sentences can be long. So, use your commas. But anyway, you can create something. But create something for yourself. Who are you? And then in one word, what do you live for? Do you live for yourself, or you live for somebody else? Do you live for that man or that woman or that child, or do you live for yourself? Now, certainly we need people. Don't get it wrong. You need somebody to love you, and you need to be loved, and you need to have the ability to love. But do you love them more than you love yourself? Because to me, if you don't have yourself, it's hard to know when you get enough of somebody else, because you're empty for yourself. And so you're filling up on other people. Let it go. Get the other person, tell them you love them, and then still understand that you need to give love and have love for who you are, as all these other things that you can be. The wife, the mother, the sister, whatever, the brother, whatever. Okay? Here's another one. What will you never give up? What? What is it? For some people it may be drinking. They'll never give it up. Maybe smoking. It may be having parties. They have to be in the middle of something going on. What will you never give up? What do you always try to avoid? What is it? Avoiding things sometimes will get you in trouble. Maybe not now, but later. Such as not somebody said they never could give up chocolate. Thank you, Lavender. But there's a lot of things that we can't give up. But anyway, what could it be? They may never give up smoking cigars, or never give up loving fast cars, fast people, or a fast life. I have a brother. I had a brother in New York City, and my brother was really short. Don't go there. Okay, those that may know me, don't go there. But anyway, he was really short, and he had a wonderful personality, really really big, far beyond his stature, because he's probably only about 5'3", So and he was bow legged, and just as funny as he could be. And we always talked about him not drinking, but he loved it. He said, "Listen, I just absolutely love to drink. I cannot avoid a bottle. If I see it, I gotta have it." And he felt he never could give it up, nor could he avoid it. So when he came around to see my mother and all of us, we always tried to, encourage him to take a new stance and everything. He never did. He never did. He passed away probably about 10 years ago. And it was like a mystery. We couldn't even find him. We couldn't even find him when our mother passed, which might have been like, 5 years before that. So sometimes you know that that's what people cannot do. They cannot avoid a certain thing, and they don't do it. It is it's their comfort. Sometimes the reason we don't avoid things is because we find comfort in it. We find peace in it. We find kindness in it. We find love in it, even though it may not be good for us. We think it is. It may be destroying our body or our minds or our hearts. Sometimes it's people. People can be very caustic to us. And we don't avoid them. We're right in there. They call us. We know we got something to do, but we're gonna go anyway. So sometimes, to avoid something is troublesome. It's very, very troublesome. Okay, my next question. What's something you take for granted each and every day? What is it? What is something you take for granted? The fact that you can see, the fact that, we can breathe. I sometimes when I'm listening to the news and I hear the suffering that goes on with people who have, contracted the COVID-19 virus, I just feel that would be just a horrible, horrible demise if I can't breathe, if people cannot breathe, So to me, that would be something that, I don't mean to take it for granted, but because it's not my current struggle, I'm okay. But think about it. When you go down to the raw of what that virus has done to the body or does to the body for those that have weakened immune systems, then it would be troublesome. It'd be troublesome. And I can give you a story about my sister, who I love dearly, but she had, an ailment which is called sarcoidosis, and I think I've spoken about this before. But basically, it's an affliction of the lungs. You just cannot handle it. You can't. Somebody else wrote free time. Time. In fact, I was talking to a friend of mine, and we discussed the fact money and time. And sometimes you'd rather give up the money to have more time, because time you can never get back again. You can't, Oh, somebody else. Thanks, Lizzie. Lizzie wrote life, because there's so much to do and to live for. You are absolutely right, Lizzie. I mean, I truly, truly believe that my life is so vital. And I keep looking every day at, I have more to do and less time to do it in. It seems like as I've gotten older and wiser, there's more I want to do for the world, and what God has made me, this person, this vessel that really wants to help people. And so the only way I can help folks is to be placed in a position like I'm doing now. And as I said, this scary position of just putting it out on Front Street, that I love what I'm doing, and I want to be, a part of of your daily walk during the week, to just say, hey, look, you got your weekend, but I'll come with me during the week and I'll help you as much as I can. Just trying to sort out some things, to understand that if you need to step out on something or step away from something, it's okay. But we shouldn't take things for granted. Um, to me, to take something for granted is just wrong. You know, I thank the Lord every day that He gave me life. You know, but I worry every day. This is my personal worry. I worry that I have so much to do that I don't have enough time to do it all in, and so that's my worry. That's so I worry about those kinds of things, but I don't take my life for granted. I don't take my sight for granted. I don't take my hearing for granted, because I'm thankful that I still have my limbs, my ability to walk and talk and see and do things for others. That's to me a good thing. And my last question is, what do you need most right now? What currently do you need? You know, currently. For some people, it may be money. Let's face it. Money may be a real issue. You know, I know they gave out the $1,200, checks, stimulus checks, and I'm hoping that you received yours. But if you didn't, they're saying that they're in the mail, you know. And then, of course, if you're above a certain, threshold, you don't get it. But my point is that if you need money, sometimes you have to look at alternative ways of making money. And currently, that's what I'm doing right now. Even though I retired from my federal job, I constantly have something going through my company of Winnie and Associates. Good morning, Seth. Good morning, Tommy and Lizzie and everybody. But I'm just putting myself in a position of always being ready for how I can make some changes. I'm looking around the house right now thinking, what can I sell? Selling is really good. You can use eBay, or you can go. I'm quite sure that that eventually you'll be able to go down to the flea markets and do that. But right now, in your quarantine time, you can be bagging up things that still have some worth to them, some value to them. That would certainly be helpful, and you can also give it away. But what would it be like if you needed money to just sell some of the stuff that you have? And many of us have far too many things. And I told you last week in my true confessions that I have, a lot of stuff, only because, when I've been in this house too long. Moving makes you change. Transition makes you change. Something, you just get rid of it once you have decided that you no longer need this, or you can do without that. Because sometimes we want things, but we don't need things. And so that's how I look at that. So those are my questions for today. I'm going to go back over in a minute. But I just want you to know that it's important that you go to your basement, that you get down to your core, that you find out who you are, that you really come out of quarantine with a better perspective of, being more business minded, being more trustworthy, being more sound on your, being able to make a decision that you made and nobody made for you. Being convicted enough to get rid of some of the things that you have too much of, but just being in the present, and not looking so much in your past. Get away from your past. Your past is your past. You cannot change it. According to what I always talk about is don't look back. And my card here, let me see if I can find it. My card talks about that. And it talks about, us not looking back and launching opportunities in transition, the lot. And even if you broke it down to not using it just as an acronym, a lot generally is going to be a patch of something, a space, a particular area of something. They said like they live on lot A or lot 172, but basically they're telling you that it's been parceled out. What is your lot? What is it? Where do you stand? Are you on the top of your steps looking down to your basement, or have you decided to get rid of some of the clutter and go on down there and deal with the things that need to be discarded? That's what this is all about. How do you discard things that have lost their value and worth to you, but they may have value and worth for somebody else if they're to be given away? So let's go back over our questions. And remember, our strength is in who we are. Okay? That's who we are. And then we go down through our basement and we find other things. But we have to first be willing to do that, make that trek and go on down there. So let's go back over the questions today. The first sentence is, who are you? 1 or 2 sentences. Who are you? Write it down. And 1 word, what do you live for? I didn't say who, I said what. And sometimes that may be confusing because the who and the who and the what may be, right together or on top of each other, actually. What will you never give up on? What? What is it? What do you always try to avoid? Controversy, Like, I'm not a big arguer. I prefer to just leave it alone, let it go. I don't want to get into that. It just, to me, it takes people to levels that shouldn't exist. It's like, okay, you be right over there, I'll be right over here. We can be knowledgeable of each other's opinion, but we don't have to agree. But I don't want to argue about it. I don't want to make it an issue that goes far beyond who we are as individuals. Okay. Next thing is, what do you always, what's something you take for granted each day? Be honest. What is it? What is it? And the last question is, what do you need most right now? What could that be? Money, food, love, a good friend, an outlet. What is it? We spend a lot of time daydreaming. Put some legs to those dreams. We spend a lot of time watching TV. Turn the TV off. We put a lot of time listening to music that somebody else wrote. Write your own song or a rap or a poem. We put a lot of time driving around. Save the gas. Go to your space. Do some writing. Do some reading. Read somebody else's information on what they did to get through, to get over, to make progress, to succeed, to become the who they are versus the who they once were. Once you start, as I told you about about the rings on a tree, once a tree has been around a long time, it gets rings, because it's growing and growing and growing. And so that's what we should do. We should be forming a new exterior after we have shed ourselves of all the veneer and the varnish and the bark, all those things that say external. Once we get through all of that, and then last week I talked about, the epidermis and the dermis and the hypodermis, going through our skin to get back to the core of us. How do we function? What else can we do to really make it up from our basement, where the basement is clear, the steps are clear. So as we go up, we're moving higher up to our own new destination, because we've cleared out the clutter from what was behind. We've cleared out, it could be the people, it could be, the debt, it could be, I don't want this job anymore. Remember that thing where it said, take this job and shove it? Don't do that right now if you're working from home. Because some people may have trouble working from home. They may have trouble only because they're distractible. And sometimes when you're distractible, that is something. You can't do anything about distraction. Distraction is just that. Because I find out when I working from home, I look around and say, oh my goodness, I need to go clean that. And oh, yeah, and the dog needs to be taken out. So there are a lot of distractions once you're home. So you have to work your home space as if it were your office, you know, and make it where there are limited distractions, meaning that you get that little space just the way you want it. I work out of my kitchen right now only because this time of day has the best light that I can be seen clearly. Where I did it originally, I tried in the afternoon in my living room, and it worked well. But then once I tried to do that at other times, it didn't work well. So you have to sometimes, just reposition yourself in order to get the best access to getting information out of your head and onto paper, or out through your computer, or getting your work done, in essence. Yeah. But anyway, it's been a great time. I appreciate you stopping by my space. I am Sandy Winborn. I'm hoping that quarantine will not defeat you, but you will find out that after quarantine, you have been revitalized, you have been recalibrated, you have been reorganized, you have been of everything, meaning you're ahead of the game. And I want that to be your plight. So when I ask you the question, are you stuck? You say, I may have a few things still, but there's some things I worked on and I'm doing much better. So I'm not as stuck. One of the things I have on my YouTube page, you can go to my YouTube page, which is Sandra L. Winborn, PhD. On my YouTube page, I have Winnie the Pooh, who's stuck in the tree. And so he went in there for honey, but of course he got stuck. So sometimes that's what we do. We go in for one thing and we get so distracted by what's in there, we don't come back out. So I'm telling you, after quarantine, we want to resurface, smelling good, looking good, feeling good, in a good mood, and in a good way, just for yourselves. This is a me program. This is all about the me. Remember last week it was we to me. This week it's me. I know the we. I need me. I want you to do that. Do that for yourself. I hope I see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. I appreciate you so much. And when I'm going to ask you on the way out, are you stuck? Don't be stuck. Continue to work out of being stuck. Get yourself unstuck. Thank you. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Hey, Kathy.